Okay, hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ryan Embry. I am the brand ambassador here at Travel Media Group. I want to start off by thanking everyone taking the time to join me on this webinar this afternoon. Super excited to share part 3 of our COVID educational series with you all. At the end of this webinar, we'll be providing my direct contact information in case you have any follow-up questions with the content that I'm going to be sharing today. You can also use that chat feature, which is located right in your toolbar. Type any sort of questions or feedback that you might have. I will be responding to those questions personally following the conclusion of the presentation, and also be on the lookout since today's webinar will feature an interactive poll. Would absolutely love your participation in it. Now, as mentioned, today's webinar is the third and final presentation of Travel Media Group's COVID-19 educational series. In this presentation specifically, we're going to be taking a look at the occupancy holes and gaps left in the wake of COVID-19. Next, we'll demonstrate how to offset and replace this group travel loss by strategically targeting transient travelers that are now starting to emerge from nationwide stay-at-home orders. So let's go ahead and get started today. Let's begin by taking a look at the difference between these two traveler segments and the booking decision process for each. Now, for the purpose of this webinar, we will be defining transient travel as any traveler not associated with a group. So your leisure travelers, walk-ins, individual business travelers, etc. Now let's start with group travel, which typically involves a longer, slower booking process. With group travel, hoteliers are communicating between multiple contacts, sorting out various group logistics, and planning far out in advance. And with a longer booking process, that means more information. But because of the amount of information involved in booking group travel, contacts might not be as focused on the small details like an individual's negative review, but rather look more high level, like the hotel's overall reputation and star rating. Negotiations play a critical role in group travel booking process. Hoteliers are willing to negotiate discounted group rates to entice group travel to the property. And finally, relationship building plays a key part in successfully bringing in group travel to a hotel. Familiarity with a property and trust in a contact can lead to a much smoother and expedited group travel booking process. But this is the travel that we need replaced as we start on the road to recovery post-COVID. So now let's look at the booking process of transient travelers, specifically during this time. Now, transient traveler is a much faster booking process, with some booking decisions happening even the day of for walk-ins. With fewer logistics involved, transient travelers' booking windows are a lot closer to their stay than groups. Now, during these times specifically, travelers are booking with extra focus and caution, but they're using less information since any online reviews, data, or details prior to COVID-19 really wouldn't be relevant to them today. As we discussed in part 2 of our COVID webinar series, during this time, price is no longer the most important booking factor to these transient travelers. Safety is the new currency. So dropping your rates will not necessarily translate to more occupancy. And finally, unlike group travel, transient travelers typically have little to no relationship with properties that they are looking to book. This means that first impression is key. If a traveler in today's climate finds something publicly that makes them unsure or less confident in their booking decision, they will easily dismiss your hotel as an option and instead book with local competition. So now that we've identified the decision-making process and booking characteristics of transient travel, let's find out where they are in this process that we see here. Now, prior to COVID-19, the hotel industry was writing all-time highs in metrics like occupancy, ADR, and RevPAR. Group and transient travelers alike had a healthy flow between all 4 of these traveler stages that you see here, starting with the dreaming stage to booking and eventually staying at the property. But as stay-at-home restrictions started to tighten, most travelers are now trapped in the dreaming and planning phases of this process. And we know this is true because of the data of the low record occupancy that we've seen over the past month. So, with transient travelers stuck at home, they are concentrating more than ever on the sites within these dreaming and planning phases. Travelers with little to do are scrolling on social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, figuring out what trips and places they want to explore first. But they're also using information and reviews on Google and TripAdvisor to find the best and safest places to stay in their favorite destinations that they want to visit. So it will be today's social post and today's guest reviews that transient travelers will use to influence their booking decisions. This will ultimately be one of the best ways to figure out the recovery speed of your specific property. So now let's take a look at 4 characteristics and attributes that could make up the first transient travelers that will start to emerge as these restrictions begin to ease across the country. After that, we'll go ahead and share some strategies on how to target them specifically. Now, the first is your young or younger transient traveler. Younger transient travelers are going to be the first ones to start venturing back into the travel world. Feeling less at risk, younger travelers are eager to emerge from stay-at orders and will be the first ones most comfortable in doing so. The next type of traveler you can expect to see is your local transient travelers. Although travel is on its way back, it's going to stay close to home. The first travelers will be more hesitant about traveling to far distance destinations, fearing the risk that is involved in air travel. Instead, they will look for these little escapes and staycations within short to medium driving distances. As time passes, we will start to see those transient travelers explore further, but for now, expect more local travel. Expect your travelers to be looking for an experience. People do not want to trade their living room for your hotel room. They want something to do that they haven't been able to do in the past couple months. The first transient travelers will not only be looking to travel, but looking for an experience and things to do. And finally, transient travelers are ready to book now. As we saw in the slide before, these travelers have been in that dreaming and planning phases for almost 3 months. They are ready to move into that booking stage. Now, they may not be staying today or tomorrow, but they are ready to book, and they're using the information today to make that decision. So now that we've identified these first transient travelers will look like and want, let's find out how to target and eventually capture their business. As we start with young travelers, where according to Pew Research Center, 82% of U.S. adults between the age of 30 and 49 use at least one social media site. The percentage climbs to over 90% for ages 18 to 29. Meaning, if you want to communicate with younger travelers, social media is the outlet to do so. And if you are not properly utilizing social media as a way to influence young transient travelers to the property, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. Now, you can also use social media and data and analytics to see what type of following and audience your hotel has on social media currently. This type of information can be extremely valuable when determining what type of content to post and what demographic is viewing and engaging with the property's page. Now, in order to attract and capture local transient travelers, you have to post content that is appealing to your local audience. Our social media team at Travel Media Group posted this article on local restaurants that are offering delivery and takeout during COVID-19. It's this type of information that is very, very popular right now on social media sites and is really being shared by users. Now, you can also use social media analytics to identify what locations your hotel posts are reaching. For example, if you recognize that a large number of travelers are viewing your post from a market only a few hour drive away, you can specifically target that location. Create a post offering a special rate or package to transient travelers from that city. It's this type of strategic social marketing that will start to improve your occupancy levels quicker. And you can also increase the number of local followers and improve brand awareness by using targeted ad spend on social media. Every social media solution that Travel Media Group offers includes both Facebook and Instagram ad spend, which our team is using during this time to target these local transient travelers. So how do we attract and capture the experience-seeking transient travel? For this, we want to start to identify and post about what's available to do in your area. At first, we might want to start with activities where it's easy to social distance, like outdoor activities, parks, hiking, etc. Although travelers want an experience, they might not be willing to risk their health right now. It's extremely important to be accurate with this type of information that you're posting and to abide by all local and state rules and restrictions. Now, it's also important to identify if your hotel is the destination or is on the way to the destination. Your location might be the perfect in-between between two major markets or the ideal stopping point on the way to the beach. That type of traveler could be looking for a completely different type of social media post, so keep that in mind when you're fine-tuning your hotel's social strategy. And finally, securing your book now, stay later transient traveler. As we entered this pandemic in early March, hotels and businesses across the country, and rightly so, were staying away from advertising and marketing their products to the public. Instead, we saw empathetic communications and messages of gratitude across marketing mediums. Now, almost 3 months later, we see some individuals ready to return to this new normal. Some transient travelers are ready to make booking decisions, but as we'll see later in this presentation, it really all hinges on comfort level. And one of the ways that we can do what we can do to ease that comfort level is by being flexible in any changes that traveler may need to make in the future. Giving them the option to book now, even if they don't plan on staying until sometime later. Make sure you're giving them an opportunity to do so by posting call to action messages, directing them to your website to book now. In fact, according to a recent article just published in CNBC.com, reservations for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's stays are up 38%, 40%, and 23% respectively compared to the same time in 2019. So if that's not the case for your property, you could already be falling behind your competition in this race to recovery. So now that we've identified some different ways to strategically target these types of transient travelers, I want to look at a topic that will influence travelers coming to your hotel, no matter their age, region, or personality. And that's online reviews. This COVID-19 crisis has really stripped the industry down to historic rock bottom numbers. And as we start to think about recovery, hoteliers are really starting to rethink the ways that we've always, quote unquote, done things. So I thought I would take the opportunity to really strip down the thinking between online reviews during COVID-19. Now, it's important to note that the process of an online review is not changing. Travelers are still going to have an experience at the property. They're going to write a review based on that experience, while future travelers research those reviews to determine whether or not to book. And if you have a traveler with a positive experience, write a positive review, you've completed the cycle, and business will continue to flow through this review cycle. But there are ways to break this cycle even if the traveler has a positive experience at the property. If you do not have a strategy to convert that happy guest into a positive review, you miss the opportunity to influence future travelers' booking decisions as they research. And obviously, the worst case scenario breaking this cycle is if a traveler has a negative experience and leaves a negative review for your hotel. And in today's world, if that review involves anything that mentions the keywords cleanliness or safety, that cycle could be broken for a significant amount of time, resulting in a significant loss of revenue. Now, COVID-19 has not changed the process of reviews, it's changed the impact of them. The review cycle that we just observed has gone from fast forward speed to slow motion. As we look at the screen here, you can see an example of how and what travelers are looking at pre and post-COVID. Prior to COVID-19, travelers would be viewing dozens of reviews over long periods of time before making that booking decision. But as I mentioned before, today's travelers are only looking at the most relevant reviews in regards to safety and health, the reviews your hotel has received during this time. The hotels that will recover first from this crisis are the hotels that successfully create a positive, unbroken review cycle. So how does this all tie in together? Well, there are two major factors that are going to correlate with hotel occupancy on this road to recovery for hotels: time and traveler comfort level. As hoteliers, we could sit back and wait. As travelers slowly start to emerge over the next 6 months, they start to feel more comfortable based on what they're seeing and hearing from their friends and family. But what about those hotels that aren't sitting back and waiting? Hotels that are proactive in their social media messaging. They're sharing cleaning initiatives and the steps taken to ensure guest safety. Hotels that are quickly responding to online reviews and reinforcing the on-site precautions that the property is also taking. And hotels that are generating positive, unbroken review cycles across multiple online review sites and encouraging guests to leave feedback about their experience. These are the hotels that move the comfort level themselves and are not waiting for time to do it for them. These hotels are instead using this time as a way to gain a competitive advantage in their respective markets. And that's where we at Travel Media Group come in. We help create custom property-specific social media content across multiple social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter. We can help generate positive reviews and feedback from guests and help prevent negative reviews that could significantly hurt your business, especially during this time. And we have a professional review response team that responds to all online reviews across OTAs, TripAdvisor, and Google. Let us help you move that comfort level yourself, gain that competitive edge over your local competition, and really hit the accelerator on the road to recovery. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll to see if there's any individual properties or hotel groups that would like help with a recovery action plan, either for your individual property or your portfolio here. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. Give everyone a quick second to find that poll and interact with it. Now, I saw a couple of you joined a little bit later. I'll go ahead and let you know up front, we will be sharing a recording of this. So, you know, if you're interested in viewing that, I will also be sharing my direct contact information here in just a second if you had any specific questions. So I'll go ahead and just wait a couple more seconds for everyone to find that poll. All right, perfect. And if you did have any questions during this presentation, you asked them over the toolbar, I will be responding to those after. Okay, so to wrap up our COVID-19 series, I will just say, you know, we as an industry, we finally have so much to look forward to. Instead of combing through industry articles and data points, looking for a glimmer of hope, we are finally starting to see some small but positive signs of recovery. And as more restrictions start to ease and with summer quickly approaching, we have a lot to be excited about. Our team at Travel Media Group will be here, continuing to be a resource and partner for every hotel that needs us as we continue to navigate through these times. So as mentioned at the beginning, here's my direct phone as well as email. If you have any questions at all or feel more comfortable in doing so, please reach out to me. If this is one of the first times that you've seen our COVID educational series, we have part 1 and 2 on our Travel Media Group YouTube page, as well as our site at travelmediagroup.com. We have a COVID-19 resource center there. And although our educational series is done, we're going to start a new series called COVID-19 Recovery, the roadmap to recovery and gaining that competitive edge. So I hope you all will join me on that. That is scheduled for next month on June 30th. Thank you so much for joining me today, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you so much.